Some cases are never solved, but they are never forgotten. America Cold Files.
Pop culture loves the idea of the flawless getaway. We picture a mastermind wiping down the crime scene, packing a bag, and vanishing into the anonymity of a crowded city. But when you look at how decades-old cold cases are actually solved, you rarely find a cinematic duel of wits between a brilliant detective and a criminal genius. Usually, you find a string of embarrassing, highly unpredictable accidents. Keeping a dark secret hidden for 20 or 30 years requires a person to maintain absolute control over every single variable in their daily life. In a chaotic universe, absolute control is a mathematical impossibility. Those who try to outrun their past eventually collide with one of three unyielding forces: the deterioration of their own mind, the repetition of their worst habits, or the quiet ambush of modern technology. The pressure of maintaining a lie often forces the subconscious to manufacture its own downfall. Take Stacey Castor, who managed to convince authorities her two husbands died of natural causes and suicide, hiding that she poisoned them both with toxic antifreeze. During a routine police interview, detectives asked Stacey to identify a glass she poured a drink into on the night of her second husband's death. She looked at the photo and slipped. She said, "I poured the antifreeze. The cranberry juice." That single, uncontrollable word exposed her guilt instantly. For others, the mind breaks under the weight of extreme paranoia. Matthew Gibson successfully lived entirely off the grid in North Carolina for 17 years after committing a murder in Arizona. Then, a local Walmart pharmacy had a computer glitch. They started sending Gibson automated text messages to pick up a prescription for a woman, Anita. Gibson convinced himself the police knew what he did and were using a fake name to play mind games with him. The terror grew so intense that he marched into a police station and voluntarily confessed to a murder the officers didn't even know he committed. Or consider Steve Pankey. In 1984, 12-year-old Janelle Matthews disappeared, triggering a massive national manhunt. Pankey grew terrified that someone was trying to frame him, so he voluntarily inserted himself into the investigation, offering unprompted interviews to the FBI. He talked so much he accidentally mentioned the snow outside the victim's house had been raked. That was a closely guarded detail police had never released to the public. Only the kidnapper knew someone had used a rake to cover their tracks. Long before a detective cracks a file, the sheer weight of isolation and fear will cause a guilty mind to unravel itself. Even if a fugitive manages to keep their story straight, they rarely possess the impulse control required to live a completely clean life. They dodge the massive manhunt, only to get tripped up by mundane, secondary offenses. In 1986, a brutal home invasion in Oklahoma left a man dead. Investigators spent 4 years searching for the killer, but their only piece of physical evidence was a single bloody footprint left by a barefoot attacker. The case went completely cold. 18 years later, a father living in that exact same neighborhood caught a large man acting as a peeping Tom outside his son's bathroom window. The father tackled him, and police arrived to find a 38-year-old local nuisance who happened to be completely barefoot. When an officer realized the peeping Tom was prowling the exact same streets as the 1986 murder, they pulled an impression of his foot. This visual comparison matched the unique arch and toe patterns to the 18-year-old crime scene framed perfectly. A lifetime of hiding, blown by looking through a window. The exact same behavioral trap caught Freddie Hilton. In 1971, Hilton murdered an Atlanta police officer and vanished into New York under a fake identity. He built a quiet, unremarkable life and stayed completely off the radar for 3 full decades. His 30-year streak ended because he couldn't stop acting inappropriately with his girlfriend's daughter. The mother filed a domestic complaint. Police showed up, and they found an illegal weapon in his possession. That minor weapons charge prompted a deeper background check, unraveling his fake identity. Escaping the initial dragnet is entirely useless if your own inherent flaws keep guiding the police right back to your front door. And if a criminal's mind stays sharp and their behavior stays clean, they still face the final vector, the relentless forward march of technology. You can't outsmart forensic tools that haven't been invented yet. In 1997, the remains of a newborn baby were discovered hidden inside a Michigan campground toilet. The mother successfully stayed completely anonymous, and the tragic Baby Garnett case sat unsolved for 25 years. Then, in 2022, a 23-year-old woman bought a commercial ancestry DNA kit and spit into a tube just to see her family tree. The database instantly matched her profile to the 1997 crime scene, leading police directly to the woman's grandmother. Mohammed Bilal Amin managed to evade the FBI for nearly 28 years after a fatal shooting in Georgia. He moved to South Carolina, changed his name, and lived completely unnoticed. Until 2022, when he simply drove down the wrong road. He passed a police cruiser equipped with an automated license plate scanner. The computer instantly flagged his registration as expired. The deputy pulled him over, took his fingerprints during a routine booking, and exposed a fugitive who had been running for almost 3 decades. Time doesn't actually bury the truth. It merely serves as a waiting period, holding the evidence until technology evolves enough to process it. These fugitives spent large portions of their lives terrified of a dramatic FBI raid, only to be undone by a slipped tongue, a misdirected text, a minor traffic stop, and a teenager's spit tube. To stay hidden, a fugitive has to wake up every single day and perfectly win a chaotic lottery of variables. But the universe? The universe only needs them to lose once. By trying to outrun probability, they end up building their own psychological prisons long before they ever see the inside of a cell, proving that the only true way to escape the law is to build a life you never have to hide from.